Let me just see who's the person who is tech. If you could just say what your name is, so we could have a name for you in the attendance.
Vivian,
Vivian?
yes.
Okay, thank you. Just write your name down. Okay, I think everybody's in. I'm just making sure before we start that everybody's here. All right, so we're gonna get started. So today's class is on Wi-Fi versus cellular data and basically explaining what is the difference between the two. So it's going to just be a presentation today about these two ways that we do connect over to the internet. If you want to learn more about, how to find your password or how to actually connect to one of these, then you could say it in the chat, your email, and I'll email you more about that information. But today is kind of just a general overview of what these two things are, how you can actually use them in your day-to-day life. And if you any have questions with the equipment that you have today, you can also let me know. But I'm not really going to go over, how to connect your phone to Wi-Fi or things like that. It's more just a general overview of what Wi-Fi does and how you use Wi-Fi on a daily basis, same as cellular data. So let's get started. We're going to talk about, I think first is Wi-Fi, and then we'll move over to cellular data. We also will talk about different equipment that we use for this, such as modems and routers, and why people use both or none. So let's get started on that. So the first thing is, what is Wi-Fi? And if you ever wanted to know what Wi-Fi stands for, it stands for wireless fidelity. And basically, every time we think of Wi-Fi, or we kind of want to know if Wi-Fi is available, what we can always do is try to look for that symbol. That is kind of the symbol that we are always going to see in all areas nationwide. That is even international. That is the symbol that they use to signify that Wi-Fi is in that area. That's little symbol with 4 lines. And with Wi-Fi, right, it's basically a technology that allows us to connect multiple devices to the internet without using physical cables. So with the invention of Wi-Fi, right, we're able to, have our smart TV, watch Netflix on it, have our smartphone, have our laptop, a tablet, a printer. All of those devices are able to connect to the internet because of this Wi-Fi. Now, in the past, right, if we wanted to have all these devices using the internet, the only way it would be possible is by using cables, using the Ethernet cable that runs throughout our apartments or our houses. And even though that's fine as well, right? There's a limit on that. Maybe one or two devices you can use your Ethernet cable to connect it. And basically, right, you wouldn't want to be walking around your house with a cable plugged into your phone, a cable plugged into your smart TV, into your printer. You would have cables all throughout your floor that you'll be tripping over. So with Wi-Fi, right, we're able to get rid of all that inconvenience and wirelessly use all of our devices. Um, so that's kind of what Wi-Fi does for us and why it makes us more convenient. Basically, we could just go on the internet anywhere throughout our house without having to worry about, is our device plugged in? Is it plugged in into the wall, and so on. So that's kind of the general overview. And I am going to explain more with Wi-Fi, cellular data, and so on, but that's just a short definition for right now. But why do people use Wi-Fi? The number one reason is convenience. So, like I said, Wi-Fi is going to eliminate all those need for physical cables. So you can always use your device anywhere in the house. If you want to get a smart TV in the kitchen, go for it because you can watch Netflix there because you're gonna be connected to the Wi-Fi. I also see there's a comment in the chat. I will get to you in a moment. Another thing is multiple device connectivity. So with the power of Wi-Fi, not only can you use your different devices all throughout your house, but you can also connect them to each other so they can communicate with one another, right? So for example, I am later next month going to do a class on Amazon Alexa, the device Alexa. And if you have ever used an Alexa, you know that you can talk to Alexa and you can tell her to call someone easily with just saying, Alexa, call so and so, or Alexa, send a text message. That's working all through Wi-Fi because our Alexa is connecting to our phone, which connects to the Wi-Fi. So with Wi-Fi, we're able to connect all our devices with one another so they can connect with and speak with one another. Same thing with how we use our smart TV, right? Some people use their phone to share whatever's on their phone and send it straight to their TV. That also works because of Wi-Fi. And then lastly, home network, right? So with Wi-Fi, we're able to create our own network within our home. So what that just means is that, when you're in an apartment or house, everyone has their own specific Wi-Fi. So let's say you go to your friend's house or your family member's house, right? You're going to have to connect to their local network in order for your phone or device to have Wi-Fi. So you would have to ask them, hey, what's your Wi-Fi and your password for your Wi-Fi so I can connect to it. So each apartment or each house, if you have Wi-Fi, right, has their own network that they only use and has a password for it. If you even want to use the center, RSS as an example, right? The RSS center has their own Wi-Fi, their own network, and we have a password to give to all our members. But once you leave that center, right, you get disconnected from our Wi-Fi and you'll go and connect with your Wi-Fi at home. Let me just see. So someone says, will I explain Bluetooth? I can mention it a bit, but Bluetooth works a bit differently than Wi-Fi and cellular data because Wi-Fi and cellular data are two ways to bring internet into your household or two ways to access the internet. Whereas Bluetooth is a bit different. It's more so of how devices connect with one another and communicate with one another. So I could talk about it briefly if I have time at the ending. But does anybody have questions on these two slides that I just spoke about? Okay, so we're gonna go on to the next slide. So now that we know a little bit about exactly why do people use Wi-Fi and what is Wi-Fi, let's now talk about the actual equipment that we need to have Wi-Fi in our household. So I kind of spoiled it by going to the next slide. But who here already has Wi-Fi in their household? This okay, another person. Okay, so and I see some people raising their hands saying that they have Wi-Fi. Do you have a question, Naomi? I'm not sure. Because you're muted.
No, no question. Just letting you know I have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that's good, right? Basically, right, if you're here right now, on the Zoom call using a laptop or a computer, you probably do already have Wi-Fi, just letting you know that. But if you are just using your phone, you probably don't have Wi-Fi. You're probably using your cellular data. but I will get to that soon. Don't worry, I'm not gonna jump ahead. But let's say you do want to have Wi-Fi, right? You're ready to have that change. You're ready to get, a smart TV. You want a printer in your house and all of that. I'm gonna now discuss some equipment that you do have to buy through either your cable provider or your cell phone plan provider to get Wi-Fi into your household. So there are three types of equipment. So the first two I'm going to discuss, which is a modem and a router. However, there is another piece of equipment that I'm going to explain after this. When Wi-Fi first, or the internet, right, first came to be and people were starting to use computers and so on, the first type of equipment was the modem, which is the one on the left-hand side. These are just kind of cartoon illustrations. It doesn't mean that this is exactly how everybody's modem and router looks like at home. So if you look at this picture with me and you're saying, hey, mine doesn't really look like that, that's perfectly fine. They're all different, you know, equipments that they vary, okay? It doesn't, just because your router doesn't have like those two antennas doesn't mean you don't have a router. This is just the picture from this website. But the modem was kind of the first equipment that came out to kind of bring internet into your household. And you can see right here, it says modem. A modem is the connection between your house and the internet. So when people first started to buy their own personal computers and have it in their household, they would buy a modem. And that modem would have an Ethernet cable connected to it that would run along your household and actually connect to your computer. However, what people started to find out is that modems are not very secure. They didn't have like a password that you would put with your Wi-Fi, right? So a lot of data breaches happened through modems because they weren't very security based. So then kind of the router came to be and why we use the router now in addition to a modem. And another thing is that modems cannot connect multiple devices. So you're limited to maybe one or two types of devices. So if you're someone here today and all you care about is just having a printer in your house, then, go ahead and get a modem because that's fine. That's just one connection and you'll have one cable that runs through the modem to your printer. However, if you're someone here today that really wants to start using a laptop in your house, a smart TV, a tablet, a printer, maybe you want to buy an Amazon Alexa. I had a person in the center who said they have smart lights in their home, so they use their phone to turn on the lights in their house. If you're someone that wants multiple wireless devices, then you do need to get a router. And the router is going to connect your modem to all the different devices in your house. So with a router, it is going to send out signals so that all your devices can connect with one another and get internet. So even though a modem does bring internet to your house, it's very limited and not secure and only works with one or two devices. Whereas a router is secure because it's going to have a password that you have to put in order to enable that internet connection. So that's a good thing because now if a stranger or something wouldn't be able to connect to your Wi-Fi if they were near your house or something, right? They would need to have that password to get into your router, which enables the Wi-Fi. Okay, I see a question. Can't see photo illustrations. Can anyone see my screen or is that happening to everyone? Can you see my screen?
I can
It's
see.
fine. I can see it.
I can
I
see it
can't.
fine. Mhm.
I can't see it.
Is that Francis?
Yes.
Are you on are you looking at the Zoom on your phone?
No, I'm on my iPad.
Okay, what do you see on the iPad?
Well, I see in the left-hand corner sharing Riverdale Senior Services. Then I see the gallery of everyone who allows their video to be shown. But
You're gonna, okay, so swipe left or right on the screen. You're probably on another screen that's just showing the participants and not the presentation. So you want to swipe on the screen with your finger, either left or right, to try to find this screen and not the faces of the people who are here today.
yeah, I don't think
If not, go back to the Zoom app, like leave the Zoom app again.
Oh, okay. I now see the picture. Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, does anybody have questions on this slide? Okay, so let me just talk about it a bit more. So if we saw the two pictures, right? So what should we leave you with, right? The modem is the device that's going to bring internet into your home, right? So usually the router and modem are often come in one singular device. And that is the important thing that I am going to talk about in the next slide, because modems are very outdated. Usually I'm going to guess that those who raised their hands and said they have Wi-Fi in their house, they have something called a gateway, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide. And a gateway is a combination of a modem and a router. And it's fine if you do have a modem and a router as two separate devices, but the more recent up-to-date equipment is a gateway, which is one singular device in your house, one box that has light that lights up. I will show a picture in the next slide. And that's usually called a gateway. But if you're someone here today that has two boxes in your house, then yes, you probably have a modem and a router. The modem is what brings internet connection. The router is what basically routes or passes your internet connection to all your devices. So without a router, you will need to plug your devices directly into the modem, which, if, you're here today and you have, a laptop and a smart TV and a phone and so on, that must mean that you have a gateway, which is those two, or of course a router. If you only have a modem, right, that means you only have only one device in your house, which is basically a printer or a laptop. If you're someone here today that has multiple devices, you probably do have both modem and a router or a gateway. And if we look here on the next slide, a gateway, right, is one singular box. Doesn't have to be the color blue that you see here in the slide. It could be any color, but usually it has like some lights on it, green and yellow lights on it that flashes. Some people stand them up, some people lay them flat. Doesn't really matter how you put it on the floor or on a desk or wherever you have it. But with a gateway, it's the combination of both. A modem where you can actually, there's ports in the back where you can actually put a cable in and connect the device, an Ethernet cable. And it also has Wi-Fi where you can connect multiple devices in all throughout your house. And of course, the best thing about a gateways is that it's secure, right? You're going to have a password that you put in for your Wi-Fi. As you can see on the slide, a modem, it's only one device and they use an Ethernet cable connection. So in this demonstration on the slide, right, a person has their modem and they use a cable to connect to their desktop computer in the house. The second slide, a person has a modem and a router, so they're able to connect all their devices. So I'm assuming that everyone here that does have Wi-Fi is probably the two pictures on the right. You either have a modem and a router, or you just have a gateway. Any questions on that from people? I got it. Something. Okay, someone said, what is ISP? ISP means Internet Service Provider. So basically, your internet service provider is probably, if you live in New York City, it's probably going to be Verizon or Optimum. Those are the two people that we kind of pay our internet to. Unless you live in another zip code that's not 10463, there could be another internet service provider that you have. I think it's Dish. I've seen that one a lot in Manhattan, but I know the ones in 10463 is usually Verizon or Cable Vision Optimum. Any other questions on this from anyone? Yes.
How about a spectrum, that cable spectrum? Is that a cable, but is it also a gateway?
So Spectrum, it could fall under an internet service provider. If Spectrum is the one that you're paying your internet bill to and your cable bill to, then yes, they can be considered that as well. Sometimes our internet service providers like Verizon, Optimum, or Spectrum, they kind of do package deals, right? Where they give us both our cable and our internet. So just think of like, who are you paying the bill to? Is it, do you do a package where Optimum gives you internet on your phone and in your house and cable like TV? Or do you do separate things? So like for me, I'll use me as an example, right? My phone bill, which is cellular data, which I will talk about very shortly, I pay the bill to Verizon. However, my cable and internet is paid, internet in the house, like Wi-Fi, sorry, that is paid through Optimum. So some people probably have packaging deals where they only have one company, or me, I have Verizon and Optimum for cable and Wi-Fi.
Mm.
So just once again, before we head over to cellular data and explain.
Tabitha, why? Why do you prefer the two different companies?
Well, mine is just a very rare scenario because my family's grandfathered in the plan for Verizon, so we get a good deal with them. That's the only reason why we have Verizon for cellular data and Optimum for Wi-Fi and cable.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
and I have a question. You could plug in things into the router with a cord?
No, you cannot. The only thing you can plug into is the modem,
Oh,
and
okay.
you need an Ethernet cable, and you need to have the wires already running in through your household apartment. So
So that's not such a good choice, right? That's like not the best choice.
well, like I said, right, modem only connects one device. So if you only just want a
Okay.
printer and nothing else in your house, you would go with modem.
But
Router
they,
connects multiple devices.
okay. But you don't have to put any cords, it just automatically connects.
Yeah, you just put the outlet in so
Okay.
it can have power.
Okay. But no plugs, no
No
cords.
plugs connected to your devices, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think someone raised their hand, a
Uh,
friend. Yes.
Yeah, it's me, Tabitha. So when I look in my settings on Wi-Fi, it says that it is weak security. Does that mean that I am still using a modem and I don't have either a router or a gateway?
Wi-Fi weak security. Are so you're sure that you have your own Wi-Fi, you're not connected to like your building's Wi-Fi or to maybe your neighbor's Wi-Fi, or you're sure you
No, no, it's my own.
So what you can do is, if you know who your internet service provider is, they can
Yes.
ask you whether or not you have a modem or router, or it could be that your password is not strong enough and they may need to change that for you.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. So once again, gateway is just, that's the new equipment right now. I have a gateway in my apartment, so that's just one singular device, one single piece of equipment that is both a modem and a router. And usually, yes, your internet service providers are the ones that lease this equipment to you. And they're the ones that do the customer service and the troubleshooting. So, for example, if I saw that my Wi-Fi was beginning to get slow, I would have to call Optimum so they could come in, check out my gateway, and then they would give me options. Maybe they would give me a new box, like a new gateway. Maybe my old one is outdated, or they would, obviously probably tell me I need to upgrade it for faster speeds. And they would know right away what's the issue, why your Wi-Fi is spotty, why is it slow, why it's not working, and so on. But that is who you would have to contact. So now let's get to cellular data. So right now, all I discussed was Wi-Fi, which is the wireless connection in our households, or Wi-Fi also exists when you're going to a public spaces like a library, a coffee shop, or RSS has Wi-Fi, your friends and family houses, but it's more contained in smaller spaces. Cellular data, on the other hand, is all the connection around us with these mobile towers that we probably don't see that often because we live in New York City. However, if you ever been to like Ridge Hill, and you go up that hill, you could see like the towers there. Some towers there, not all of them, obviously. Most of them are usually in upstate and secluded areas, but cellular data are these mobile towers. So kind of, think of that: cellular, mobile towers that we really can't see because we live in the city, but they're like huge. They're as tall as some of the skyscrapers in Manhattan. And they're what give us connection to our phones and tablets. So instead of connecting to Wi-Fi, cellular data uses signals from mobile towers to bring internet to your smartphone or tablet. So those are the two key things that we need to remember for today: that cellular data only gives us connection to smartphones and to tablets. Computers, desktops, printers, all of those other devices that we use, a smart TV, that does not use cellular data. That uses Wi-Fi. So once again, cellular data can only give us connection to our smartphone and to our tablet, right? Because cellular data is, we pay the phone bill company. So that's either Verizon, AT&T, Mint Mobile, Metro PCS, Consumer Cellular. All those people are cellular data companies where we either want cellular data on our smartphone or our tablet. Whereas things that are like our desktops and TVs and printers, that is used with Wi-Fi or Ethernet cables. Oh, someone said in the chat, why are they called mobile towers? Do they walk?
That's funny.
I mean, I would say like mobile because you're on the go, right? With these towers, you're able to use your phone anywhere outside. So I'm guessing that's why they call it mobile towers. But I'm sure there's a better explanation out there that I could get for you another time. But with cellular data, right, you're able to access the internet outside of your home, anywhere that you have cell service. So with cellular data, with the people that you're paying your monthly plan to, you're able to make a phone call outside, you're able to make a phone call in the train station, at the bus station, anywhere that there's cell service, you're able to make a phone call or you're able to text message someone. And with cellular data, right, you're always connected even if there's no Wi-Fi around. So with cellular data, you're able to go outside and you're able to go on the internet to ask Google something. You're able to read your emails. You're able to use whatever apps that you want to use on your phone, WhatsApp, maybe you want to play a video game. All of that is possible because of cellular data. However, I don't know if I have it in the next slide. The catch is, right, you want to make sure what your plan is with your cellular data, right? If you have Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, whoever's your company, you want to make sure what your plan is, because just because you have this cellular data doesn't mean that you can make 1,000 phone calls in one day, because then you're going to go over your data limit and you're going to be getting charged. So your next monthly phone bill is going to be higher than the last one because you made too many phone calls, you sent too many text messages, or you were on the internet for too long outside. So it's a good thing to always know what your limit is. So if you know that you're someone here today that does not have a unlimited plan, that means that no, you cannot go outside for 5 hours and be on the internet for 5 hours because your phone is going to have a limit. And unfortunately, right, sometimes they don't even send a message that says, hey, you went over your limit. The only message you're gonna get is that in the next phone bill, it's going to be higher than the last month. So it's important that if you don't know it already, what your limit is, to make sure you ask your phone company, hey, what's my limit? Like how long can I be on the internet until it stops, and so on.
Where do you check how much time you have left?
Okay, so basically with the first thing you have to do is ask your phone company what is the limit, because they can give you kind of like a range. Oh, with your plan, you can go outside and be out on your phone for this many hours or this many minutes. But I'm not too sure if our cell phones can give us kind of a limit. Usually in our phones, though, we do have a section called Cellular that I can send later to everybody today. But we do have a section in our phones called Cellular and Settings, where it shows us like how many gigabytes we've been using throughout the day. GB, which means gigabytes. And if the AT&T people or the T-Mobile people and so on tell you, hey, after 50 gigabytes, you can't be using the internet outside anymore, and you go into your settings and you see that you're over 50 gigabytes, you shouldn't be going on your phone anymore. You shouldn't be outside on the cellular data anymore. You should be switching to Wi-Fi when you get home.
Tabitha, could I ask you one quick question?
Yes.
In my settings under the cellular, when I go into it, it says Wi-Fi calling off. Should that be on?
No, you shouldn't, no, don't put that on. That's only in cases of emergencies that you won't have data. You turn that on if you, and to put Wi-Fi.
Okay, thank you.
But underneath that, where it says like cellular data, current period roaming,
Mm-hmm.
those are the gigabytes that I'm referring to. That
Yes.
you would have to ask your cell phone plan, hey, how many gigabytes do I get until I know I need to stop, going on the internet outside.
Fine. Okay, thank you.
So now that we kind of know, does anybody else have any other questions on that before I talk about some main differences?
I just wanted to ask about how some areas you get no reception whatsoever. Like in the Berkshires, if you're in the city, there are certain neighborhoods where I can never get through
Right.
on people's cell phones. Is that because of the towers or something else?
Yeah, that is because of the towers. There's so as you know, or maybe you don't know, but as you've seen probably how a lot of phones are going from 4G to 5G and things like that. So the mobile towers are constantly trying to get stronger connection for us. So with before in the past, right, we just had 3G, but now a lot of phones that have 3G are stopping that and everything is converting to 4G or now even 5G. So sometimes when you do not have reception, it could be that those mobile towers are still sending out connections on the lower side, that 3G or that 4G. And it kind of also depends on your plan. It could be in that area, the mobile towers of your plan is not in that area as much as in other places in the city or so on. So like here right in the Bronx, there is a lot of Verizon, and Verizon is also turning into cable here as well as Optimum. So those that have Verizon or Optimum are going to get a greater connection in the Bronx area. But in Manhattan, I'm not too sure what their companies are, but it really depends on the company you have and whether or not that neighborhood is more populated with those services or the other.
Thank you. Thanks.
When I am near Wi-Fi at home, will the phone automatically use the Wi-Fi rather than the cellular data?
So yes, if you already connected your phone to Wi-Fi, to your own personal Wi-Fi in the past, then yes, your phone will automatically connect you to Wi-Fi as soon as you get into your house, and it won't use the cellular data anymore.
Cellular data has to be on.
Cellular data always has to be on because without cellular data, it's going to be hard to make phone calls. However, your phone will automatically turn into Wi-Fi, will go on in Wi-Fi if you already connected your device before in the past. Your phone automatically recognizes that you're in your house or in a space where you connected to Wi-Fi previously, and it will turn it on for you. So for example, if you've been to the center and you used our center's Wi-Fi, the next time you come back to the center, it automatically puts you onto our center's Wi-Fi. So it's a one-time thing, and then Wi-Fi will always be recognized on your phone. So the thing about having Wi-Fi on is going to be good because you don't want to have your phone always running data, especially if you have a limit. Some people here today, it's going to depend on what your plan is. I can't say for everybody what your plan is. Some people probably have unlimited texting and calling. So then that's perfectly good. That means that when you're outside, you can make as many calls and text messages as you want. However, some people probably do not have unlimited texting and calling, so you need to check, as well as unlimited data. Unlimited data is that you can go outside and search for something on Google and be on your phone for hours and hours. And your monthly bill is always going to be the same because you paid for unlimited data. But if you do not have unlimited data, that means that you cannot be outside on your cellular data with watching Netflix for 10 hours outside in the park because you're gonna go over that data limit. That's why people use Wi-Fi so they don't have to use their cellular data. Does that make sense?
A little bit.
A little bit.
I have a question.
Yes.
I've heard like when you use Wi-Fi in Starbucks, people can jump on you, or you have, how do you be careful when you do this in public places?
Okay, so that's a good question. So I'll go over that at the ending, Alicia. Don't worry.
Okay, very good.
That's
Thank
a good
you.
question.
Okay.
Okay, so does somebody have a comment? So someone said, is there such thing as a portable router? So not necessarily, no, there's no such thing as a portable router. What you can do is with our cell phones, if you have a smartphone here today, there is something called a personal hotspot. And what that means is you can use your phone to give connection to another device. So let's say you decide to go to Starbucks and you want your laptop to have Wi-Fi, you can use your phone to give that laptop Wi-Fi. So no, it's not portable router, it's called personal hotspot. And don't worry, I could definitely do classes on that and Bluetooth. It's just I would be going a little bit ahead and I don't want to get everyone confused with these terms today.
Okay.
So main differences, right? So let's talk about speed first. Wi-Fi is typically faster than cellular data. And Wi-Fi is measured by megabytes per second, which means MBS. That's what it stands for short. And why is Wi-Fi, would anyone know why Wi-Fi would be faster than cellular data? Does anyone probably want to take a guess on why?
Call from Crumpet Fraven. Call from Crumpet Fraven.
No, what someone's saying.
Call from somebody to call.
Oh, it's a call. Okay, so
Yeah.
no one really, okay, no one wants to take a shot at it. That's okay.
Right.
So Wi-Fi is typically faster because if you think about it, right? Wi-Fi is contained in a certain place, right? So let's just use an example of my apartment, right? Me and my family are the only people using my Wi-Fi. I don't have someone across the street using my Wi-Fi. I don't have my neighbor using my Wi-Fi. I'm the only person that's using my Wi-Fi. However, when we think about mobile towers and all the mobile towers around the USA, and then let's thinking about all the people that have smartphones. Can you imagine the millions or probably billions of people that are using that same mobile tower just as you are? There's millions of people that are on the Verizon network. There's millions of people on AT&T, Metro PCS, whatever company that you have. There's millions of people of you that are all using these mobile towers. So this is why Wi-Fi is typically faster, because it's contained in a smaller space, usually in your apartment or in the library, in a local cafe, and so on. Francis, yes, you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. If Wi-Fi is faster, why when I go to Amazon Prime Video to watch, let's say, a movie, Do I get so much buffering, or it takes forever for the movie or whatever to come on, and then sometimes while the movie is running, it will stop and sort of buffer,
Right.
and then it will start again.
Exactly. Yep. I understand. And that is a good question. So if you didn't hear Francis, they said, why, if Wi-Fi is so fast, how come, when I'm on Amazon Prime watching a movie or something, it's always buffering, it's taking a long time. So that can fall into two categories. The first thing, of course, is the megabytes per second, your MBS. So usually when, you make a deal with Optimum or whoever your provider is, Verizon or Spectrum, I'm not too sure what you have, but when you make your deal with them and you say, hey, I want to get Wi-Fi from you, of course, the first thing they're probably going to give you is the best deal that they have the month, right? $30 a month, $40 a month, whatever it is that your plan is. And usually those cheaper plans or deals that they give you are not going to be the fastest Wi-Fi. Usually they're going to just give you only 100 megabytes per second. And yes, in the past, 100 megabytes per second was probably perfect for people, right? They're perfect to watch a movie or to play a video game and so on. But now, since technology is upgrading and now there's so many movies that are not just HD, but are also 4K, if you heard that term, 4K movies, which means like movies are brighter and clearer and more action packed and so on. So they need to have better graphics. In order for those movies to look perfectly on your screen, you do need to have a bit faster Wi-Fi. So that plan, that's probably a great plan because it's only $30 a month, is probably not giving you the best speeds because of all the other newer technologies, like in movies, like a 4K movie. And the other thing is also how many devices you have in your house. So if you're someone here today that has a smart TV in your living room, a smart TV in your bedroom, you have a computer, you have a printer, you have a smartphone. If that sounds like you here today, that means that you have so many devices that are connecting to that one router in your house or gateway in your house. All of that is competing with one another to see, which one are they going to use up the most of that speed. So unfortunately, the reason why it's always buffering is because you either have too many devices that is using your Wi-Fi, or you do need to upgrade your Wi-Fi to more megabytes. So usually a good range to have if you're someone that has multiple devices is 300 to 400 megabytes per speed. If you're someone
Thank-
that's tech savvy, it can go up to 1 gigabyte, which is a lot. If you have to live in a really big house, if that's something you want to get.
Thank you very much.
So, that is common though, Francis. I had to like upgrade my speed because I'm someone, I live with my mom and we have multiple smart TVs, we have the iPad, we have our computers for work from her
Yeah.
and my work computer. So yeah, we did have to get more megabytes and it did help us. It did help, the movies buffer faster and so on.
Great. Thank you.
So also range, right? Main differences range. Wi-Fi, like I've been saying, is limited to a specific area, while cellular data works whenever there's network coverage, whenever there's T-Mobile, whenever there's a Verizon tower, there's going to be internet connection there. However, hold on, I'm just going to mute people. However, with Wi-Fi, it's limited to a specific area. So like I've been saying, if we use the example as of the RSS center, once you leave RSS, you're not going to be connected to our Wi-Fi anymore. Your phone is automatically going to take off the Wi-Fi and connect to cellular data. Wi-Fi has limited range. So even when you leave your house today and you go outside, your phone is no longer going to be connected to your Wi-Fi in your house anymore. After a certain point of feet that you walked, it's going to disconnect and move over to your other plan, which you probably have Verizon, Optimum, and so on. So you just make sure that when you're out and about roaming, you know that you're not going to be connected to Wi-Fi anymore, unless you specifically go to a place where you know that they have Wi-Fi and you can connect to Wi-Fi. But to answer Alicia's question that she asked, if you are going to be someone that starts using public Wi-Fi, just be careful because their security is not going to be as great as your own security's Wi-Fi in your house. Why? Because it's public Wi-Fi, which means that there's multiple people in that Starbucks that is going to be connected to the same exact Wi-Fi as you. So what does that mean, right? Well, in this day and age, we don't know everybody. We don't know strangers' intentions and what they're doing on that Wi-Fi network. There could be some grand scheme hacker in that Starbucks that is able to somehow get into the Wi-Fi network and start trying to hack into our phones. And yes, that could happen. So it's very important that when you decide to connect to public Wi-Fi, it's a place that you know. So I would say, if it's a friend's or family's house, that's totally fine, perfectly fine. But usually I don't really connect to random restaurants or cafes, Wi-Fi's, because I just never know who's around or who's going, what's gonna happen that day if there's someone that has bad intentions. So if it's like a library, a center, then that's okay. That's different. Usually with libraries, they have a password. If if you go into a public place and they have a password with their Wi-Fi, then that is a pro. That means that they're more secure than other places. However, there are some restaurants or even airports where there's no password for their Wi-Fi, that anyone can just press on it and boom, they're connected. That means it's not secure really at all. However, like our center at RSS, you do need to know a password to get into our Wi-Fi, which means that strangers cannot just walk past our center and connect to it. They would have to come in and ask us, "Hi, what is your Wi-Fi password so we can get in?" So anytime there's a password, it means it's more secure. And then lastly, before I go today, right, cost. Wi-Fi is part of a monthly plan, right? So, well, it depends because in this case, this was from what I got off from the internet, but this could depend. Some people here today are going to have packages with Optimum or Spectrum or Verizon. So usually it could be your cellular data and your Wi-Fi is usually could be part of one bill or it could be separate. For me, in my case, right, I pay my cellular data to Verizon and then I pay the Wi-Fi and cable to Optimum. However, you here today probably have one bill. You're paying it to one person. It depends on your case. But like I've been saying over and over in this presentation, cellular data may have extra charges depending whether or not you're going over your limit. So if you know that you do not have an unlimited plan, please make sure that you ask whoever you're paying your bill to, hey, what is my data limit? So I know when I go outside the next time, I'm not always on the internet. I'm not going on Google trying to search for something outside. I'm being cautious of what I do when I go on the phone outside. Okay, so oh, I still have this, right? So lastly, this is what I'm gonna leave you with. I have like 5 more minutes left. When should I use Wi-Fi versus when should I use cellular data? Always use Wi-Fi when you're watching videos such as on Netflix or YouTube or movies or even playing video games, because these type of technology or entertainment takes a lot of our data, right? Movies and videos can be 1 hour to 2 hour long. So the longer it is, the more data. So you want to make sure you're using Wi-Fi so you don't hit your data limit. Always good to turn on Wi-Fi or have your Wi-Fi in a house when you go to school or a workplace, if you're working still, or if you have a club or hobby, something like that, it's good to have your Wi-Fi on for that. Also, cellular data does tend to drain your phone's battery faster than your Wi-Fi. So if you feel like every time you go outside, your phone dies faster, it's common. It's because cellular data drains your battery more. And like I've said, always use Wi-Fi whenever you trust the network. So if another way you can trust a network is making sure they have a password. So if you go to a restaurant and you say, hey, what's your Wi-Fi? And they just say, okay, this is our Wi-Fi, the restaurant's name, but then they don't give you a password, then I would not really connect to that restaurant's Wi-Fi. I would just say, okay, thank you very much, but I won't be using that Wi-Fi.